So, let's get to what we're talking about today. Luxo Jr., released in 1986, and the star of the film, a small bouncing lamp named Junior, whom the film is named for, has remained the mascot of the studio ever since. You will be familiar with him if you've ever seen a Pixar film, because you see the logo, and they have Pixar and the nice formal lettering. The little lamp hops out, squishes the eye, and looks at us, and it's a Pixar film. So that is Luxo Jr., which you should now be familiar with if you watched the movie. And if you didn't, now you know. So the company chose him to represent the company for key reasons beyond the fact that he starred in their first official film. So Luxo Jr. contains many of the filmmaking strategies that contribute to what Ed Catmull, who we talked about last time, he's the current president and co-founder of Pixar, and he refers to it as, quote, John Lasseter's genius in creating an emotional tension even in this briefest of formats. So again, not assuming anything, if you didn't watch last time, John Lasseter is their creative director. He's kind of the biggest face of Pixar. If you know Pixar staff, you probably know John Lasseter. And he is the director of Luxo Jr. So, end quote. In less than 2 minutes, remember, minute 20, really short film, Lasseter and the other filmmakers take us through surprise, joy, disappointment, and all the way back to joy again, using very little beyond just straight character animation. So, Luxo Jr.'s bare-bones work shows off Pixar's storytelling spine. There's an effort to elicit more than one strong emotional response from the audience, whether it is laughter or tears or just a simple sigh. Fun fact, Inside Out, all about emotions, Pixar's latest comes out really soon, so you should go check that out if you enjoy Pixar and emotions as much as I do. So, while every Pixar film is about something different, most have this type of emotional journey, more than one emotion required of you to watch. And the exceptions will be discussed a little bit in the chapter on comedy, when they're really just going for one thing, and that's to make you laugh. But this is not Luxo Jr. Luxo is going for multiple things. So the fact that more than one emotion is elicited is something that sets the Pixar shorts off from many other animated shorts. Luxo Jr. was the studio's jumping off point, and its most effective elements represent the mature understanding of the film medium, we're getting formal here, the film medium that the artists at Pixar had from the very beginning. The character of Luxo Jr. is a reminder of that understanding, and that fact, along with the film's historical context, justifies why this small lamp came to define the Pixar brand. So before we kind of dig a little bit deeper into why this is, I want to talk a little bit about gender. Don't worry, we're not getting too much into this. But I just want to say I gender Luxo and the two lamps in Luxo as male. They don't have to be gendered as male. I did it out of convenience. And I do have justification beyond that, beyond just using gender-neutral pronouns. I used the suffix junior, which is traditionally male. And also, I see this as very much a personal film of John Lasseter and his view on the world. And so he is a parent with children, and I took this as his reflection on that relationship. So I chose father and son. You don't have to. And one of the beautiful and wonderful things about these inanimate objects brought to life is that they don't necessarily have gender. So I just wanted to put that disclaimer in because it's been brought up before, and I want you to know that I'm thinking about it. It is something I care about. So, but let's get back to film theory, because that's a little more fun. So, Luxo Jr. is a clear example of one of John Lasseter's famous mantras, which is, quote, and you'll hear this from me often, art challenges technology, and technology inspires the art. Let me say that one more time. Art challenges the technology, and technology inspires the art. Luxo Jr.'s technology is primitive enough to put limitations on the story. Catmull came to Lasseter after Steve Jobs bought the company and suggested that they make a short film that would define Pixar as a studio. At the time of the request, Lasseter was learning from the engineers, like Bill Reeves, how to use the computer to replicate everyday objects, a technique called modeling. Very fancy terminology here. And he was using the lamp on his table as a test subject. That's literally how it all began. It was very basic. So by playing with that lamp, he was able to conceptualize a live character out of an inanimate object. The technology practice was, however, only the impulse for the story. After the initial setup, it was the story requirements that demanded new leaps forward from the technology and not the other way around. So, at the time Luxo Jr. was released, the engineers at Pixar were not only creating stories, but they were inventing the tools they were using to tell those stories. Like I said, new technology, everything is new. They're experimenting. They're taking concepts of hand-drawn animation and revolutionizing them for computers, but that's about all they were using that already existed. So at the time, Luxo actually debuted at a technology convention, not a film festival, called SIGGRAPH. And in order to demonstrate the engineers' new advancements, because that's what Pixar was all about at the time. So by debuting at a convention that focused on technology, as opposed to a film festival that would focus on the art, the filmmakers inadvertently proved a point that has guided the company ever since. At Pixar, quote, and this is another Ed Catmull mantra, "Story is king," end quote. So when you think about how you go into a film, I think you take a lot of things for granted. And so, especially if you are a film major and see a lot of films, you forget some of the basics and you forget what a remarkable practice this is. So that's one of the reasons why I highlight the fact that this debuted at a technology convention, because they weren't expecting it. So, in a room full of people gathered to witness the latest in computer graphics, Luxo Jr. stood out because it had a story. It engaged the audience on an emotional level. At surface level, it was there to demonstrate things like Reeves' self-shadowing program and Lasseter's modeling. But what Pixar ultimately ended up demonstrating and what has lasted was that mantra about combining technology and story. So the SIGGRAPH crowd was so used to short little clips made by engineers without any training in filmmaking that were really just like, look what I can do. So Pixar kept these engineers on their team, but they put them in a room with Lasseter, who was a trained artist, who can take the look what I can do and make it into put it behind a story and be like, look at what these characters are doing and look at how they make you feel. So this led to an exchange of ideas from both parties that led in turn to their ability to create a well-received film using entirely novel tools. So Luxo's juxtaposition with the other works at SIGGRAPH and its ultimate success proved that the missing link for computer animation was having a classically trained animator employed by them. He was able to take the film beyond a demonstration and instead work to have it tell a story. So a lot of the things in cartoons that we take for granted, Lasseter was trained in and applied it to this new medium. So in short, he made computer animation a filmmaking medium. No small feat.